جزاك الله خير. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. First and foremost, for those of you that are going for Hajj, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this journey a means of success and afiyah and a means of forgiveness for each and every one of you as well as your family members. Do remember those that are left behind in your du'as on this sacred journey, inshallah. So we will go ahead and begin. So, just quickly going over the virtues of Hajj, the reward of Hajj Mabrur, which is an accepted Hajj, is Jannah itself. And of course, Hajj is a very fundamental aspect of our religion. It is one of the pillars of Islam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that anyone who performs Hajj without engaging in anything that is immoral, then he will return home as the day his mother gave him birth, meaning he or she will be forgiven from all sins. Uh, this is very important. Hajj is a very, very important time. Brother Farid has stressed this multiple times in his presentation that please be prepared. Do as much studying as you can in understanding the rituals of Hajj, and it's important to read about Hajj. As Brother Farid was mentioning, that what is the underlying reasons as to why we are standing, why we are doing what we are doing, what is the purpose of going to the Jamarat, what is the purpose of going to Arafah, what should be the thought process of us doing all of this. Hajj is not just a physical aspect of the journey, but it's also a very spiritual journey. Granted, we put attention to that aspect of our journey as well. Fadail Hajj, written by Shaykh al-Hadith Maulana Zakaria rahmatullahi alayhi, is a very, very important book that I would recommend to everyone in regards to creating a spirit for Hajj. Certain things to keep in mind that we want to make intention. We are doing this for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and for Allah alone. We don't want to have any other intention within that, because that is the ultimate purpose. We're going to make tawbah. Tawbah is of two types. Huququllah, those are the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which will inshallah be fulfilled by performing Hajj. And huququl ibad, the rights of the people. For those that are going, any right that anyone has upon any one of us, we try to fulfill those rights before we go, because that way we are going to get fully forgiven by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Otherwise, when it comes to the rights of the servants, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not control that regard. That is something that needs to be fulfilled between the companions, and that is something that maybe we have someone's debt or whatever it may be, we want to fulfill those things. Have tawakkul, trust and reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Choosing good travel companions is essential to making sure our journey goes in a very, very successful and efficient manner. Luggage, do not take unnecessary items. We are not going on a vacation. This is a time of spiritual growth. So keep that in mind. Save yourself from sin throughout the journey. Limit ourselves as much as we can from being on our phone, on social media, taking selfies in front of the haram, taking selfies in these types of places is not appropriate, because the idea is not to show people, it is for us to build a connection with Allah. So keep that aspect in mind, and make dua at every occasion at all times, and we'll go over that a little more throughout the presentation. Before leaving home, perform 2 rak'ats of nafil prayer. Make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He makes this journey easy and is a means of accepted Hajj. Leave your family and belongings in the trust of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as some parents might be going without their children, some family members will be going without other family members. So leave our family in the state that, Ya Allah, we are leaving them. And this is exactly what Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam did when he left his wife there. He left her in the trust of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Express joy that we are going to the house of Allah rather than grief. Some things to pack. Of course, Brother Farid has already gone over this, and I would recommend his slides for that, for the logistics, because he is a very recent traveler in terms of going for Hajj. So his guidance in that matter is much more relevant. Now, in regards to Hajj, there are 3 types of Hajj that can be performed, and this is where it's important for everyone to understand. So the first type of Hajj is Ifrad. This is one enters into the state of Ihram once with the intention of Hajj only, no Umrah will be performed. This is really only for the people that live in the Haram or around the Haram in Mecca. This does not relate to anyone, which is majority, if not everyone that is on the call, is going from outside of Mecca or Medina. And that is why, even if they're going from Medina, they're actually included in the second two. So, unless you are living in Mecca, you are going to be doing Tamattu or Qiran. And I'll explain both of them. Tamattu. One enters into Ihram twice, performs Umrah in first Ihram, removes it, then enters into Ihram again for Hajj before the 8th of Dhul Hijjah. I'll explain both of them, so if it's not clear, don't worry. Qiran is to enter into the state of Ihram once and performs Umrah and Hajj in same Ihram. So understand it from this point. Qiran in Arabic means to join. What are you joining? You are joining two types of ibadah in one ihram. So Qiran is that, for example, I reach Mecca on the 7th of Dhul Hijjah. And on the 7th of Dhul Hijjah, as anyone who is entering Mecca must perform Umrah. So I perform my Umrah and I'm like, hey, instead of getting out of Ihram because I'm going to need to get into Ihram tomorrow anyways, let me just stay in my Ihram right now. And that way, whatever the rules of Ihram are, they will be applied for me from today, the 7th of Dhul Hijjah, until the end of Hajj. And of course, this intention needs to be made before and not when we are in performing Umrah. Okay, so that's one type of Hajj. The second type that is right in the middle, Tamattu. Tamattu is that, hey, I'm going to Hajj, but on the 7th of Dhul Hijjah, I am going to reach Mecca. I'm going to go perform my Umrah. I'm going to get out of Ihram, meaning I'm going to perform my Tawaf. I'm going to do my Sa'i. I am going to cut my hair, and I will be out of my Ihram. I can wear normal clothes. Then on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, before I go for Hajj, I will put the ihram on again. So that is the two difference. And which one is better according to the Hanafi school of thought? Hajj Qiran is the more better or virtuous one, but of course everyone has the option to do whatever is more convenient for them. Naturally, Hajj Qiran is the most troublesome rather, I would say. It's a little more sacrifice involved because you will be in the state of Ihram for a longer period, and that is why it is more difficult as well as being more virtuous. Now, we will focus on Hajj Tamattu. Why? Because most of the people are going to perform Tamattu, which is they are going to go for the sake of Umrah first. When they do perform their Umrah, they will come out of their Ihram and then they will go on to perform Hajj on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. Now, Ihram. When, what, and how? When it comes to Ihram, there are three possibilities, and this was one of the questions that was asked. So if a person is going, everyone is going to land either in Jeddah or Medina. If you're landing in Jeddah and your intention is to go to Medina first, if you're already landing in Medina, then you're already there. There is no need for Ihram in Medina. If you're going to Mecca first and it's a direct flight, wear Ihram from home but do not make intention yet. I don't think there's a possibility from people going from North America to have a direct flight. Other countries, I am not aware, but more than likely it's going to be with a layover. If it's a layover, you don't put your ihram on from so early because you will be in discomfort for a longer period of time. Transit flight, minimum 3 to 4 hours. Come into ihram during the stopover. Keep ihram on hand. So, rule of thumb, if you are going to Mecca first, keep your ihram, the two sheets within arm's reach, because you will need to put it on before you get into Mecca. If you're going to Medina first, then you're at ease. Now, this is something that someone also asked. People generally, when they are coming from other countries like Cairo when we're going from Turkey and all these other countries, they generally do announce when the miqat is coming about. The miqat is that area where we are going to put the ihram on before we enter into the haram. So if I'm in Medina, if you can look on top, it says in Medina. So if I'm coming from Medina to Mecca, Dhul Hulayfa is where I am going to put my ihram on. And there's actually a masjid there where people generally put the ihram on. That is where they make the intention. That is where they pray their salah and whatnot. That is when they will do it. But people who are coming by plane directly to Mecca or to Jeddah and then from there to Mecca, they will generally be told on the plane that this is the time to put the ihram on. Go ahead and put your ihram on. You can either do it on the plane. It might be easier to do it when we are in the layover in whichever place that might be. And then of course we can have the two sheets on, but the intention we will make for ihram when we get to the miqat, and we will more than likely be notified by the air service. What is ihram? Now, a lot of times we think ihram means the two pieces of cloth that we wear and that's it. It's not. It's not limited to that. It is those two pieces of cloth, but it's not limited to that. Ihram is a condition the person comes into after two things. Number one, making the intention, whether I'm making intention for doing Hajj Ifrad, Hajj Tamattu', or Hajj Qiran, whichever it may be, I have to make an intention. Number two, talbiyah, by saying labbaik Allahumma labbaik, and a little more detailed will come after. This makes certain things that were lawful before unlawful on him now. Hence, if someone wants to change the cloth of ihram, and for women, if they want to change their clothes after donning it, meaning after coming into the state of ihram, it is permissible. So if someone wants, for the men, if they want to carry two pairs of ihram, the two sheets, when I'm saying that, I'm referring to the two sheets, it's completely fine. They can always change their two sheets, but ihram is a state a person comes into by which there are certain things they are no longer able to do until they are out of the state of ihram. Things to do before home or from home: bathe before leaving the house, including clipping nails and removing unwanted hair. Try to be in the cleanest state as you can before you begin the journey. Wear two cloths of ihram. Males, this is of course at the time of miqat, or coming to the point where we now need to go ahead and be prepared. And after bathing, but before the niyyah, it is mustahab to wear itar on body and ihram. Again, this is after we've taken a shower, we've put the sheets on, but we did not make intention yet. As long as we did not make intention, that means we are not in the state of ihram. So we can put some itar, some good fragrances on, and thereafter we can make the intention of ihram, and we are good to go. We will not have any penalty on us. This is generally how the ihram will be donned. Everyone has their own way, but this is a very good way to go about it. The shoulders and the upper body of the men will be covered, should be covered at all times unless told otherwise. And of course the sheet on the bottom. And those are generally the type of slippers that you want to wear. Something, again, there's a difference of opinion in regards to this anyways, but the upper portion of the foot should be exposed. Once we have put the ihram on, we pray 2 rak'ah sunnah salah, avoiding any time in which we generally would not pray. The first rak'ah we want to recite Surah Kafirun, and the second rak'ah we want to recite Surah Ikhlas. At this point in time, because we are not in the state of ihram yet, we can pray salah with the head covered, make dua. Remove head covering and then make niyyah for Umrah. You must remove the head covering first, otherwise you are going to come in a problematic situation. So remove the head covering first and then make niyyah for Umrah. Recite talbiyah loudly 3 times for males, and once is a condition, but thrice is sunnah. Send durood or salutations upon the Prophet ﷺ and make dua. Note: do not make intention and recite talbiyah if wearing ihram from home, because that means you are going to be traveling the whole journey in that state and you do not want to be in that type of discomfort. So this is again for the time when we are now crossing into the miqat. The talbiyah that we were saying that it is once it's conditional to recite, but three times is sunnah. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, innal hamda wan ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika lak. And of course, just some significance in regards to the talbiyah. Talbiyah is the most virtuous dhikr of Hajj. Recite individually, not collectively. Prohibitions in ihram. This is important because we spoke about ihram as a state a person comes into, and what is that state that he is not prohibited from certain things. Number one, wearing perfume. Number two, using perfumed items such as soap, toothpaste, and wipes. Clipping nails or removing hair should not be done. Covering the head for men. Wearing any sewn clothing or undergarments for men. This is specifically for men, these two. Killing lice or insect or anything for that matter. Intimate talk or actions even between the husband and wife at this point in time are prohibited. One question was presented that is it okay to wear sunscreen in the state of ihram? So applying the things that we just learned, if the sunscreen is scented, it would not be allowed to use that type of sunscreen. In regards to sunscreen that is not scented, so the unscented sunscreen, it would be okay generally to use that. So keep in mind whenever you are purchasing these items, make sure, again, using perfumed items is not allowed. But if it's unscented soap or unscented toothpaste, then it is completely fine. Permissible acts in ihram: wearing rings, glasses, hearing aids, money belts, all of those things are fine. Changing ihram clothing, taking a bath or shower without rubbing rigorously, again, rigorously because so that you are not pulling any hair off unintentionally. Covering oneself when resting, avoiding the face and head. So when we are sleeping, do not cover the face and the head. Generally, you would not want to anyways because of the heat, but just keep that in mind. Odorless Vaseline can be applied and using miswak, but not toothpaste. Again, this is flavored toothpaste, or scented, sorry. Flavored is okay. During the journey, continue with dhikr and talbiyah. Stay away from all sin and futile activities. Be prompt with your salah even on the aircraft. Because you are a musafir, you will perform qasr, which means you will shorten the prayer. All the 4 rak'at of fard will be halved to 2. The sunnah and nawafil will remain the same. It is important to learn the masail of a traveler as well for those that are taking upon this journey, because those rules will apply to everyone. Arrival at Jeddah. As Brother Fareed mentioned, be patient. What can go wrong will go wrong. And that's just the reality of it. You have to keep in mind there are millions of people coming. They're all coming to the same place. They're all coming to do the same thing. So it's very possible something can and probably will go wrong. It's okay. Remain in dhikr. Try to be as patient as we can, because this is the time for exercising our patience and being tested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remain engaged in dhikr and talbiyah on the way to Mecca. Enter Mecca in a pure state with talbiyah on the tongue, total humility and respect, dua and istighfar, and thinking a sinner has come to be pardoned. This is very, very important that when we are going, we want to remember it's the glass half empty mentality. That I'm not coming here to just fulfill my Hajj or fulfill my fard. I am actually here as a sinner to be forgiven by the grace and mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, the underlying aspect to these things is very, very important. At the hotel, again, this is more logistical stuff. I don't want to say something that may be out of turn, because the guides will be there for you. And of course, Brother Farid and his team have a better understanding of this. So this is something that you can contact your guide and whoever else in regards to a more accurate statement. Now, the first sight of the Kaaba is a very, very blessed and enormous time for, especially for the people who have never gone before. It is a really mesmerizing state that a person will be in. So enter the masjid with the right foot, reciting Bismillah, Salawat, and Dua. Make niyyah for i'tikaf, and slowly walk towards the Kaaba with the gaze lowered. Everyone is going to be walking there. Every direction in the haram leads towards the Kaaba. So you are going to go directly there. Move out of the pathway and stop at a quiet spot. Once you see the Kaaba for the first time, recite Takbir, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, and Tahleel, which is La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, and make dua to your heart's content. Make as much dua as you want, but of course, without being in the way of the people that are coming and going. Acceptance of dua. When the Prophet ﷺ, of course, this is something that when he saw Baytullah, when he saw the house of Allah, he lifted his hand and recited the takbir. Abu Umama radiallahu anh narrates that the Rasulullah ﷺ said that dua is accepted when citing the Baytullah, the house of Allah, so it's important time to make dua. Now, components of Umrah, because anyone who is going will be performing Umrah. You must perform Umrah, whether you are performing Tamattu' or Qiran. Tamattu' being the one that you perform Umrah and you get out of the state of Ihram and then re-enter Ihram when you're going for Hajj. Qiran being that you came to Mecca, you performed Umrah, you did not come out of your Ihram, and you continued performing Hajj with that same Ihram. So number one, of course, ihram, you must have ihram on. Number two, tawaf. When you come into Mecca, you must perform tawaf. Tawaf is going around the Kaaba 7 times. So when we say tawaf, you've made one tawaf, you've gone around the Kaaba 7 times. If you've made one round, then that does not mean you've made one tawaf. You've made part of a tawaf, but you've only made one going around. The third aspect of Umrah is Sa'i, which is going between Safa and Marwa. You will start from Safa, end at Marwa. When you go to Safa to Marwa once, that's 1. When you go from Marwa to Safa, that's 2. Then again Safa to Marwa, that's 3. Until you end at 7, and you will end at Marwa. If you don't end at Marwa, then you probably counted wrong or started from the wrong place. Number 4, halaq and shaving. Again, this halaq and shaving number 4 is for those people that are performing tamattu'. Tamattu' is the one that we are going to get out of ihram and then re-enter when it's time for hajj. For the people that are doing qiran, they are not going to do halaq or shave their heads. They will just continue with their ihram, and they will not shave their heads because they are still in the state of ihram. By cutting their hair, they will have to pay a penalty. Commencing the tawaf for Umrah, the tawaf of Umrah, remember wudu is wajib for tawaf. If somehow, some way you have broken your wudu during tawaf, if you've only done 4 or more, then you will go and make wudu and complete the remaining 3. But if you had done less than 4 and you broke your wudu, then you will have to restart the tawaf process again in terms of starting all over again. Reciting takbir, talbiyah, and salawat located at Hajj Aswad, and of course we're going to learn more detail in that. So look at this graph, and you will see the multazam. You will see the multazam, you will see Hajj Aswad. The start of tawaf is right there. If you see at the bottom, it will show you right where the multazam is, or actually at the corner, the Hajj Aswad line is where the tawaf starts, and there's actually a green light that signifies that that is where the tawaf will begin from. Initiating the tawaf, stop reciting the talbiyah and observe ittiba'. Ittiba' is for the men. If you can look at the person, the picture that is there. Ittiba is the right shoulder being exposed. So the ihram is going to be worn, for the upper garment is going to be worn in a manner that the cloth will come from under the arm and over the left shoulder, so that the right shoulder is exposed. And as you are going, make sure that the Hajj or the Kaaba is on your left side. If it is on your right side, then you are going the wrong way, and you're more than likely going to be going against the traffic. So you will figure that out very, very soon. And of course, make niyyah for tawaf. O Allah, I intend to make tawaf of your sacred house 7 circuits for your pleasure. Make it easy for me and accept it from me. And now move a little to the right until your chest is directly facing the Hajar Aswad. Raise both hands up to the ear as when beginning salah, and recite the following dua. Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, walillahi alhamd, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Then release the hands, and then you begin your circuits. Now lower the hand with the palms facing outward to the height of Hajar Aswad, meaning bring your hands a little lower, and say Bismillahi Wallahu Akbar. This is called istilam. Lightly kiss both palms. Turn on your spot so that your left shoulder is facing the Hajar Aswad, and commence tawaf anti-clockwise. Upon completing one round, turn the face and chest towards Hajar Aswad and do istilam, reciting Bismillahi Wallahu Akbar, which means every time we pass Hajar Aswad, we are going to face Hajar Aswad. The green light will be there, so you'll know exactly where Hajar Aswad is. When you get to that green light, you face Hajar Aswad, you raise your hands just about to your shoulder length, to your chest, and you say Bismillah Allahu Akbar. You kiss your palms and continue until you have done this. And you will do this for every round, for every time, and you will end at the 8th time. It will become 8 because when you started with 1, and then after every round you did 1, so it will become 8. And this is a sunnah mu'akkada, which is an emphasized sunnah. Here you can see in the graph that the green light, it actually goes across, so you'll have it's very hard to miss that green light when you are performing Umrah. Ramal, in the first 3 rounds, males are required to do so. In this manner, Ramal is, the idea behind Ramal was, of course, when the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba were coming to perform Umrah, they were doing this to make sure that the Quraysh, as they were observing the Muslims, they can feel a bit of toughness from the Muslims. So it's to manner in a hastily manner, not running, but just a hastily manner, taking short steps, pushing the chest outwards and moving the shoulders. Again, just to bring an haughty feeling to the people that are observing. Women will walk normally, and this will only be done in the first 3 rounds. I wish the camera was on or it was working so I can give an example of this, but that is the way it should be done, and no ramal to be done in the remaining 4 rounds. If ramal is forgotten, then it will not be done after. That's it. That was the only time to do ramal. So here's just a little graph in the first 3 rounds of how it will be. And just how it will begin. So we will begin, number 1, from looking at Hajar Aswad, and then we will begin the circumambulation. Now, what can be done while a person is performing tawaf? It is better to stay engaged in dhikr and dua. Recite Quran is also permissible. Reciting the follow dua whilst passing Rukn al-Yamani. Rukn al-Yamani, they had it on the first slide, and hopefully this will be shared with all the participants so that they can go over it as well. Allahumma inni as'aluka al-afwa wal-afiyata fi dunya wal-akhirah. And note, it is sunnah to wipe both hands or just the right hand over Rukn al-Yamani without turning the chest and facing towards Baytullah. However, due to perfume being on it and rush, this will not be possible, so do not make istinam of it. For those of you that have been blessed to pray in the first sufuf of the haram, you'll know that they are always constantly putting itar on it to make sure it is smelling good, and they're also always cleaning it. So again, do not touch it. By touching it, you will be putting perfume on, and that will require a penalty. Now, in regards to while performing tawaf, do not talk about worldly affairs. The idea is not to gaze at the Kaaba, because by doing so, you are potentially going to be doing something that you're not supposed to. So when you are performing istilam is the only time where you should actually be looking at the Kaaba. Read in a low voice. It is permissible to read very loud or collectively in groups, as this causes inconvenience to others. But if it's not causing inconvenience to others, there's no harm with it. For tawaf followed by sa'i, one will do ittiba' as well as ramal in the first 3 rounds. This is important because sa'i is only done when a person is performing Umrah. If a person is not performing Umrah, then they will not do ittiba', which is tying the upper garment below the shoulder on the right side and then putting it over the left, as well as ramal and walking in that certain manner. It will not be done if there is no sa'i after the tawaf. If there is a sa'i after the tawaf, then a person will do both ittiba' and ramal specifically in the first 3 rounds. Do not touch Hajar Aswad Rukn al Yamani again because there is perfume on it. If Jama'ah begins while a person is doing tawaf, go ahead and stop your tawaf, perform your salah, and then continue where you left off after. Wudu is compulsory. We've already mentioned this. Do not kiss or make istilam of maqam Ibrahim. Note, it is not advisable to go for tawaf, etc. in large groups, as keeping up may affect focus, but if that's not a difficulty, then doing so is not necessarily an issue. After tawaf is done, for men, cover the shoulders now. Don't walk around in that manner. It is not appropriate. Perform 2 rak'ahs wajibut tawaf behind maqam Ibrahim. More than likely, you're not going to be able to perform the 2 rak'ahs behind maqam Ibrahim. Hence why if you pray anywhere, it will be completely fine. There's just too much of a crowd, and they will not be able to accommodate everyone performing 2 rak'ah behind maqam Ibrahim. Ensure that it is not a disliked time. Make dua at multazam or in front of it if possible. Drink zamzam to your fill and make dua. Make istilam of Hajj Aswad for the 9th time, and this is a mustahab and liked action. This is the multazam right on the left side of the door. Proceed to Sa'i. Again, Sa'i is to run or to walk fast. To say to run is not the most accurate description of Sa'i, but to walk fast just at this pace where you can potentially say that this person is about to run is more appropriate. Sa'i, stand facing the Qibla, raising your hands in dua. Do not raise your hands like in Takbir Tahrima, it's much lower than that. And recite Takbir and Tahleel again 3 times. Recite Salawat, recite the 4th Kalima, and then commence the Sa'i. Do the same as Safa and Marwa. So when you get to Safa, you are going to identify where the Kaaba is, and you'll be able to know in which direction it is. You probably won't be able to see it, but you will know which direction it is, and you can just turn to that direction and make dua. You will do this both at Safa as well as Marwa. Everything here I have already covered besides this green marking. This green marking is going to be noticed because there will be green lights on top on the ceiling of whichever floor we are on to indicate that is the points where we need to be walking in a fast manner. So when we are in between those lines, we are going to walk in a very fast manner, almost to the speed of running, but not running. But we are walking really fast, and that is when we are going to do it. Besides those times, we are not going to be doing so. And as you can see, these are the green lights that will be there by which we will be indicated to go walk fast. Important points. It is better to do sa'i on the ground floor and permissible on the top floors. Wudu is preferable for sa'i but not necessary. And it is not necessary to climb right up Safa climb to a height where you can see the Kaaba, sometimes that will not be possible. So keep that in mind, it's not necessary. Dam will be wajib by doing sa'i on a wheelchair without excuse. If there's an excuse, then there's no harm. But for those that do not have an excuse, it's not okay to do so. Halaq or qasar. This is for those people that when they are coming out of the Umrah Ihram, what do they do? Even for the time of Hajj, should they do halaq? Should they shave their head completely, or should they just cut 1 inch length? Either is fine. Of course, completely shaving the head is more virtuous. Umrah thereafter will now be complete, and all the restrictions of Ihram will be lifted. Note, this is also something someone asked. It is permissible to trim or shave your own hair or someone else's after all rituals have been completed. Okay. Now that was the more umrah aspect which every one of us that is going will be performing. Now we are going to go into things that are more specific to Hajj, which is again something everyone will be going to. It's not much more than that. Just a few other things that will be included, but in terms of the rulings of Ihram, those are the same rulings that will be applied while we are in the days of Hajj as well. So remain in Makkah until the 10th, until the 7th of the Hajj, excuse me. Refrain from all sins, continue with Salah and all those other things that we did. Go for ziyarah and do not overwork yourself so you can perform well in Hajj. Make sure you are ready for Hajj. Hajj has 5 days. It starts on the 8th of the Hijjah. The ninth is the day of Arafah. For those that are not going to be going for Hajj, they will be fasting on that day. But for those of you that are going to be in Hajj, do not fast that day. You will regret it. The 10th is the day of Eid. There's no Eid Salah for the people going for Hajj, but there are other things that will need to be done. And it is a very, very, the most challenging day is the 10th of the Hijjah for the people in Eid. 11th and 12th are Ayyam al-Tashriq, and those are pretty relaxed days. After the 10th day, anything will be very easy, inshallah. What to take? You want to travel light. However, there are a few things that you want to take. Quran or some dua books, musalla, tasbih, snacks, always good to have. One additional pair of clothes, sleeping bag from Muzdalifah, again, you can see with your group as to what is provided from there or not. Soap, shower gel, again, that is scentless. But after the 10th of the Hijjah, you will be able to wear even scented things. So if you want to take that, you can. And Mu'allim card that shows which group you are. Again, that is more of a logistical aspect, and there may be some other ways to go about that. Now, day one, which is the 8th of the Hijjah. So this is where now we are going for the actual rituals of Hajj. So it's the first day of Hajj, which is the 8th of Dhul Hijjah. It is sunnah to depart from Mina after sunrise on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah. However, a lot of tour operators decide to leave the night before to avoid rush, which means they are going one night earlier. Wear the ihram in hotel room. This is for those that are doing tamattu' who had performed umrah and came out of their ihram. It is not necessary to go to Masjid al-Haram. However, it is preferable to make niyyah of the ihram of Hajj in Masjid al-Haram, and you will not need to go to miqat. So you just go to the masjid and make niyyah. If that is too difficult, then don't worry, just do it at your hotel room. Make niyyah and make intention for Hajj, followed by talbiyah. Mas'ala. One thing that we need to keep in mind. If one wishes to perform sa'i of Hajj, which is normally performed after tawaf ziyarah, you may do so. However, a sa'i cannot be performed without tawaf, hence you will perform a nafl tawaf and then sa'i. We'll go into this a little more later. Now, Mina, we go on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah. We are going to perform 5 salahs, granted that you are there at the sunrise. So we are going to perform 5 salahs there, starting from Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha of the 8th of Dhul Hijjah. when we wake up on the ninth of Dhul Hijjah, which is the day of Arafah, we are going to perform Fajr there. Now it's the day of Arafah. Arafah is the key word there, which means this day has something to do with Arafah, the plain of Arafah. So it is sunnah to spend the night in Mina. And of course, Imam Shafi'i has a different opinion. He says it's not sunnah, he said it's wajib, you must perform. Whereas the Ahnaf are very clear on this, that it is sunnah to perform the night in Mina. The day can be spent wherever and it's generally spent elsewhere because of going for Jamarat, but it's really talking about the night where the night should be spent. While in Mina, oh, sorry about that. Okay. While in Mina, please, please, please do not spend time talking about useless things. A lot of time in Mina is spent, should be spent in dhikr and things of goodness, and unfortunately, it's spent in gossiping and other things that are very, very inappropriate for people in Hajj. So, this is a time for dhikr, reflection, resting, and preparing for the next important days. Always be patient and avoid arguing and complaining. Remember, it's hot, everyone is tired, people will and generally do lose their tempers very easily. So be patient as you can to ensure you are having an efficient time. This is how the Mina camps look like. It's literally just camps, and this is the only time of the year that it's actually even being used. This is what the inside of the tent looks like. Notice that there's if you can see any ACs there, let me know because I don't see any. And be ready for that because that is just one of the things of Mina. Of course, it's an experience in and of itself, but at the same time, these are the things that we need to be prepared for. Day two, which is the ninth of the Hajj, the day of Arafah, most important day of Hajj. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ said, Al Hajju Arafah. Arafah is Hajj. So it's very important to keep in mind that Arafah is the most important aspect of Hajj. We are going to pray Fajr in Mina. From this Salah Fajr, Takbir Tashriq will commence until after Asr on the 13th, which is we recite Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, wa lillahi alhamd after every fard prayer. Those that are going for Hajj or not going for Hajj, we will all do this. Leave for Arafah after sunrise. To leave before is against the sunnah, and generally people begin to leave after sunrise anyways. Rest and relieve yourself all of necessities before zawal. Plain of Arafah. This is, if you can look on the right top side, that is Jabal Nur, where the Prophet ﷺ made an announcement. There's also a masjid there by the name of Masjid Namira. Again, to go to the mountain, I know a lot of people want to and like to, which is nothing wrong if you're physically capable to doing so. I remember when we went, like three people intended to go. They ended up coming back in an ambulance bus because they had a heat stroke. It was very, very difficult journey. So again, they were elderly. So keep in mind your health and how hot it is. Some of us are not accustomed or used to those types of conditions. So being in the tent is of course better. Of course, later part of the day when it gets a little cooler, it's more bearable, you can try to do so, but it's better you use that time in making dua and seeking the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wuquf of Arafah, this is fard. The time is from Zawal, again on the ninth of the Hijjah until Subh Sadiq, and the wajib time is from Zawal, which is from the time Dhuhr starts until Salatul Maghrib. After Salat al-Maghrib is when the next day becomes, let's just go over this. This is the masjid that is located in Arafah, Masjid Namira. Uh, Method of wuquf. Wuquf just means to be there, be anywhere. You're just stopping in an area, and that is wuquf. Engage in tilawah, dhikr, istighfar. Do not waste a single moment. This is the time you need. This is literally what we or those that are going for. This is what they're going for Arafah. Make dua as much as you can for yourself, your family, your parents, and those that are left behind. So again, this is the ninth day. This is still the second day. It is wajib to stay in Arafah until after sunset. However, do not read Maghrib Salah yet, as you will combine Maghrib and Isha at Isha time after reaching Muzdalifah. Meaning, as I said before, that Zawal, meaning from the time Dhuhr begins until Maghrib, is the time we want to stay in Arafah. After Maghrib time has begun, we will not perform Maghrib, although the time has come in. We will first go to Muzdalifah, and at Muzdalifah is where everyone will combine Salatul Maghrib and Salatul Isha. This is for all the schools of thought. Uh, Day two, the night of the ninth of the Hajj, which is technically the 10th of the Hajj. Anyhow, once in Muzdalifah, combine Maghrib and Isha. You will do Adhan, Iqama. You'll perform the Fard of Maghrib. You'll perform the Fard of Isha. Then you will perform the Sunnah of Maghrib and then the Sunnah of Isha, as well as Witr. You will combine regardless of whether you are a munfarid, meaning you are praying alone, or you are praying behind an imam. It does not matter. Fulfill your needs, then do some ibadah, rest up, and sleep. This is important. There are no tents in Muzdalifah. Literally, Muzdalifah is just an open field. There are bathroom stations that are regularly cleaned or at that time, so those are available. But besides that, there's no other structural building besides those bathrooms that are there. While we are in Muzdalifah, collect 49 pebbles. And the pebbles you can see are those size. You don't need to go collect boulders to throw at the jamarat. It will cause you a lot of difficulty, so don't do that. 7 for the 10th of the Hijjah, because we will perform one jamarat there. Then 21 and 21 for the other 2 days. And if you intend to stay in Mina for the 13th of the Hijjah, again, this depends on your group and package, but if that is the intention, then you will grab 70 instead of 49. It is not permissible to collect najis, filthy pebbles, or pebbles that are around the jamarat. Do not collect pebbles there, collect it in advance. And of course, always collect some extra pebbles in case of error during pelting. What will be helpful is you're going to have a lot of water bottles around in Mina. Just grab one water bottle that is empty and put the pebbles in there. That way it's easy for you to carry and you can take it every day. This is what Muzdalifah looks like. As I said, the bathroom is right there and the building on the bottom right side. But besides that, it is just an open field. Wuquf of Muzdalifah. Wuquf is wajib. Remaining in Muzdalifah even for a little while after Subh Sadiq will suffice for the wuquf. Perform Fajr Salah, then remain in Muzdalifah just before sunrise. And that's generally what happens. After you perform your Fajr prayer, the buses will then come to take you back. Now that we have performed Fajr, we have begun the 10th day of Dhul Hijjah. As I said, this is the busiest day of Hajj. There are 4 extremely important things that we need to keep in mind on this day. Number 1, Rami, which is pelting only the big Jamara. That's it. For the first day, we are only doing that. Number 2, the sacrificing of the animal, which I guess will be told to you by the group lead. Number 3, cutting the hair. And last but not least, Tawaf Ziyarah. This is the second of 2 fara'id of Hajj. Number one was Arafah. Number two is Tawaf Ziyarah. The others are all wajib, so they still must be performed. Time for Nahar, which is sacrificing the animal, cutting the hair, and doing Tawaf Ziyarah, is from the 10th of the day that we have just begun until the sunset of the 12th. So you have pretty much the whole 10th, the whole 11th, the whole 12th. So pretty much 3 days to complete all three of these things. Now, to make it easier for us to remember is the acronym PAST, which is pelting. Number two, A, animal. The third one is S for shaving the hair or cutting it off. And last but not least, T is for Tulaf Ziyara. Important to remember that the first three things must be done in order. Don't cut your hair until you have received confirmation that the animal has been sacrificed. Once the animal has been sacrificed, then it is okay to go ahead and cut the hair. Once in Mina, now our duty for today is to pelt the big Jamara only with 7 pebbles. Remember, when we were at Muzdalifah, we spent the night in Muzdalifah. We prayed Salatul Fajr. After Salatul Fajr, just before sunrise or after sunrise is generally when, because of the rush, we're going to more than likely leave after sunrise. We are going to go back to Mina. Mina is our point of retreat at all times during these days. So we're always going to go back to Mina. When we go back to Mina, now you have the ability to go and pelt Jamarat whenever you want. So everyone who is fit must pelt. And timing of pelting Jamaratul Uqba, this is for the 10th day of Dhul Hijjah, is the sunnah time is from sunrise. We already have begun sunrise because by the time we get back to our tent, it's already past sunrise, all the way until Zawal. This might be difficult to do given the time. If someone can do so, it's no problem, go for it. But more than likely, it will be during the time of Mubah, which is any time from Dhuhr time beginning until sunset. And then, of course, the makruh time that we want to avoid and try to do it before is from sunset to Sabah Sadiq. Due to excessive crowding, it will not be makruh for women to go after sunset, and also for those who accompany them because that is the time when the rush has lessened much more. And of course, timings do not apply for old and the weak. This is what the Jamarat look like. This is just a diagram to show the aspects. And when we're going for Rami, and this is again when we are pelting the shayateen, this is the way it is going to be done. We are going to go to the big Jamara. We will stop the talbiyah. We will hold the pebbles between the thumb and index finger, and you will pelt the Jamara with 7 pebbles thrown. And when we throw it, we are going to say Bismillah Allahu Akbar. رغما للشيطان ورضا للرحمن رغما للشيطان ورضا للرحمن. Pebbles should land in the boundary wall. If the stone bounces back or does not enter the boundary wall, then you will have to repeat, take extra pebbles. I know some people get very emotional at this point in time for all the wrong that Shaitan has made us do, but the point is not to throw it with the most energy you can. That's not the point. The point is just to pelt it. So whether you throw it hard or soft, I don't think it's going to matter. So just do it in a manner that is appropriate. You don't need to take your anger out on the jamarat. I'm not sure it will help. After pelting this jamara, depart from the area without dua. Again, this is for those that are extremely sick or they have a legitimate reason that if they, for some reason, cannot go and pelt the shaitan themselves, then they can allow someone else to do it on their behalf. Again, qurbani, the sacrificing of the animal, and qasr, must be done in order as well. So first and foremost, we must do the rami. After we do the rami, then we are going to sacrifice the animal. Once the sacrifice is done, then halaq and cutting the hair can be done. A person who is muqim and sahib nisab will have to do both qurbanis, meaning those that are doing the Hajj will have to do two qurbanis, and the Eid qurban does not have to be in haram. One question that was asked was that can a person who does not have the sufficient means to do the sacrificing of the animal, can they do the fasting that is mentioned in the Quran, that Allah says that 3 days in the days of Hajj and 7 days when you go back home? Yes, that rule does apply when a person can't afford to do the sacrifice, but this is a very, very hypothetical scenario, because for those that can afford to go for Hajj, another 150 and $200 is not really much compared to what we have already paid. So this really does not ever apply. Generally, people can always 150 $200 more in order to do the sacrifice is more than reasonable, and people will more than likely be able to do so. Again, Mecca, now we have to go to Mecca as well to perform Tawaf al-Ziyarah and Sa'i. We will perform Sa'i again. This is full. The 10th Subh Sadiq, this is what I said, that the second part of the second of two full things. The time is the 10th of Subh Sadiq until the sunset of the 12th, the 3 days that I said we had to do this. If Sa'i was not done before, then Ramal will be done. Ramal, again, remember that we said if Hal was done, then Ittiba' will not be made, otherwise it will. And if Sa'i was done before, then only Tawaf will be performed without the Ramal. Once again, it is a very, very encouraged sunnah. We already spoke about this, to spend the night in Mina. Spending the day in Mina is not what is required, but spending the night in Mina is actually that which is required. Day 11th of Dhul Hijjah, only one thing required on this day, which is Rami of all three Jamarat. Again, the time for this is from anywhere from Dhuhr time until Maghrib. Pelt 7 pebbles at all three Jamarat and make dua after the first two Jamarat, and again remain to return to Mina tent. Remember, at this point in time, everyone is out of the state of Ihram, meaning now they can use scented things and they can wear their normal clothing. The 12th day of the Hijjah, same thing as mentioned before, and try to leave the border of Mina before Maghrib Adhan. If you have already stayed there and the Adhan for the night of 12th of the Hijjah is there, now you must stay and do it, stay another night, and then you'll also have to do Rami again because you stayed an extra day. 13th of Dhul Hijjah, again, for those that have stayed the night before in Mina, they will have to do Rami as well, and thereafter they will go ahead and proceed to Mecca. For those that have already left on the 12th, no problem, they will not come and do Rami. This is the last thing, the Tawaf al-Wida', which is the farewell tawaf, which is wajib, which is one tawaf before leaving the sacred haram. The time starts immediately after tawaf al-ziyarah. Remember that tawaf al-ziyarah that we said that there is a second fard? Anytime after that, we must perform one more tawaf. That one tawaf can be any time from that point until we leave. And that is the completion of this section. In regards to Ziyarah of Medina Munawwara, there is no specific ibadah that is recommended. Of course, we just, some simple and basic things is Of course, sending salawat on the Prophet ﷺ, going to the Jannatul Baqir, sending salawat and sending salam to all those that are buried there, and engaging in as much ibadah as we can. There are no specific rights for how we should stay in the state of ihram or anything like that. There is no thing of that nature in terms of Umrah.